का फोन कर दो, मुझे नंबर नहीं, मैं नहीं कर सकता।
नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम, अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। Today's topic of discussion is sampling techniques. I am Dr. Fatma Jalal Chaudhary and I am going to present the very topic under the kind supervision of Professor Dr. Sara Afzal, Dean KEMU and IPH Lahore. The presentation layout for today's presentation would likely be definition of sampling, different types of samplings to be discussed, sampling techniques, thereafter advantages and disadvantages of different sampling techniques over one another, different sampling techniques at a glance, recent advances, MCQ session and an open forum discussion. The objectives for today's presentations would be at the end of the presentation, the audience should at least be able to familiarize themselves with different sampling techniques, sampling population, the sampling frames, probability-based selection of samples, uses of sampling techniques in medical and scientific research writing, and recent advances. Now, how are we going to define sampling in statistics, quality assurance, or in the survey methodology? Sampling is defined as the selection of a subset or a statistical sample, termed sample for short, of individuals from within a statistical population. To estimate the characteristics of the whole population, the sampling is done. To know the subset is meant to reflect the whole population, and statisticians attempt to collect samples that are truly representative of the population. So this is a visual representation of the sampling process. In this we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is the population, from which we have tried to draw sample number 2, 5, 8 and 10 out of the 3 subsets. Now, why to do sampling? Because as we are saying that we have a universe out of which we would try to define a population, and as per se we can take all of the population into consideration, but why to do sampling? Sampling has lower costs and it has a faster data collection compared to recording data from the entire population. In many cases, collecting the whole population is impossible, like getting sizes of all the stars in the universe. It can provide insights in cases where it is infeasible to measure an entire population. So what is the purpose behind to do a sampling procedure? Each observation measures one or more properties such as weight, location, color, or mass of independent objects or individuals. In business and medical research, sampling is widely used for gathering information about a population. Acceptance sampling is used to determine if a production lot would be meeting all the governing specifications. Now, what is the history behind all of the sampling so far? Random sampling by using lots in an old era was mentioned several times in the Bible. In 1786, Pierre Simon Laplace estimated the population of France by using a sample along with ratio estimators. We all would be familiar with, most of us would be familiar with the Laplace famous equation, which is the basic algorithmic method for ratio estimators. He also computed probabilistic estimates of the error. So, as per se important definitions for the sampling procedures and collection, we have to consider the population, the sampling frames. Considering the population and sampling frames, we are going to have the types of data sampling depending upon the probability. So what is the definition for a population? A population can be defined as including all people or items within the characteristics one wishes to understand. because there is very rarely enough time or money to gather information from everyone or everything in a population. The goal becomes finding a representative sample or subset of that population. So, what are the characteristics of a population out of which we are determined to take a sample size or sample? The population from which the sample is drawn may not be the same as the population from which information is desired. Often there is a large but not complete overlap between these groups due to frame issues, etc. Sometimes they may be entirely separate. For instance, one might study rats in order to get a better understanding of human health, or one might study records from people born in 2008 in order to make predictions about people born in that population with the rats. Sampling frame, we seek a sampling frame which has the property that we can identify every single element and include that in any of our samples. The most straightforward type of frame is a list of elements of the population, preferably the entire population, with appropriate contact information. For example, in an opinion pool, possible sampling frames may be representing the electoral register and a telephone directory. However, in the more general case, this is not usually possible or practical. There is no way to identify all rats in the set of all the rats. Where voting is not compulsory, there is no way to identify which people will vote at a forthcoming election in advance of the election. So, depending upon the sampling frames, type of sampling, defined as the probability frame. There are basically two types of samplings: non-probability sampling, probability sampling, and apart from these sampling techniques, we have other sampling techniques as well. So probability sample is what? It's a sample in which every unit in the population has a chance greater than 0 of being selected in the sample, and this probability can be accurately determined. The combination of these traits makes it possible to produce unbiased estimates of the population totals by weighing the sample units according to the probability of the selection. For example, we want to estimate the total income of adults living in a given street. We visit each household in that street, identify all adults living there, and randomly select one adult from each household. For example, we can allocate each person a random number generated from a uniform distribution between 0 and 1 and select the person with the highest number in each household. We then interview the selected person and find their income. People living on their own are certain to be selected, so we simply add their income to our estimate of the total. But a person living in a household of 2 adults has only 1 out of 10 chances of selection. In the above example, not everybody has the same probability of selection. What makes it a probability sample is the fact that each person's probability is known. When every element in the population does have the same probability of selection, this is known as an equal probability of selection or EPS design. Such designs are also referred to as self-weighting because all sampled units are given the same weight. Now, what are the types of probability sampling so far identified? They would be including simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, probability proportional to size sampling, and multi-stage sampling or stratified sampling. Characteristics of probability sampling: there are various ways, or these various ways of sampling have two things in common. Every element has a known non-zero probability of being sampled, and it involves a random selection at some point or one point. Now, what is the non-probability sampling? It's any sampling method where some elements of the population have no chance of selection. There are sometimes referred to as out of coverage or undercovered samples, or where the probability of selection cannot be accurately determined. It involves the selection of elements based on assumptions regarding the population of interest, which forms a criteria for selection. Hence, because selection of elements is non-random, non-probability sampling does not allow the estimation of sampling errors. These conditions give rise to exclusion bias. That means the non-probability sort of things, placing the limits on how much information a sample can provide about the population. Information about the relationship between the sample and the population is limited, making it difficult to extrapolate from the sample to the population. So for the non-probability sampling technique, we are going to quote an example here that we would like to visit every household in a given street and interview the first person to answer the door in any household with more than one occupant. This is a non-probability sample because some people are more likely to answer the door. For example, an unemployed person who spends most of the time at home is more likely to answer than an employed housemate who might be at work when the interview calls. And it's not practical to calculate these non-responders. Now, types of non-probability sampling, there are basically convenience sampling, quota sampling, purposive samplings. In addition, the non-response effects may turn any probability design into a non-probability design if the characteristics of non-response are not well understood, since non-response sampling modifies each element's probability of being sampled. So depending upon the frames identified so far, that is the probability and non-probability, within these characteristics, we can identify a number of sampling methods which can be employed individually or in combination for factors commonly influencing the choices between these designs. So the factors which would basically be influencing them are nature and quality of the frame, of course, probability or non-probability, availability of auxiliary information about units of the frame, accuracy requirements and the need of mere accuracy, whether detailed analysis of the sample is expected, and some other occupational concerns. Now this is a simple random sampling which we are going to discuss in detail as the first part. This is a visual representation. As you can see, from 1 to 12 the population is determined and sample size is being randomly selected out of that for 2, 5, 8 and 10. In a simple random sample or SRS of a given size, all subsets of a sampling frame have an equal probability of being selected. Each element of the frame thus has an equal probability of selection. Simple random sampling can be vulnerable to sampling errors because of the selection may result in a sample that does not reflect the true representation of the whole population. Now this is the systematic sampling in which you can see the population is represented from 1 to 12, which is not further subdivided into the subsets, out of which we have chosen 2, 5, 8 and 11 samples for every third or second and so forth and so on. Systematic sampling, also known as interval sampling, relies on arranging the study population according to some ordering scheme and then selecting elements at regular intervals through that ordered list. Systematic sampling involves a random start and then proceeds with the selection of every kth element from then onwards, or nth element. A simple example would be to select every 10th name from the telephone directory, also known as referred to as the 10th order. So stratified sampling, this is the visual representation. We have basically randomly divided the population into subsets 1, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 11 depending upon their characteristics or similarities, and then we are going to select the samples out of which 2, 8, 10 and 5 are the sample population. So in stratified sampling, when the population embraces a number of distinct categories, the frame can be organized by these categories into separate strata. Each stratum is then sampled as an independent subpopulation out of which individual elements can be randomly selected. Now, what are the characteristics of a stratified sampling? A stratified sampling approach is most effective when three conditions are met. Number one, variability within the strata are minimized. Variability between strata are maximized. Within the strata are minimized, and between the strata are maximized. The variables upon which the population is stratified are strongly correlated with the desired dependent variable. Now, what are the advantages of the stratified sampling over the other sampling method? It focuses on important subpopulations and ignores the irrelevant ones. It allows the use of different sampling techniques for different subpopulations, thus increasing the accuracy or efficiency of the estimation. Now, what are the disadvantages of a stratified? It requires selection of relevant stratification variables, which can be difficult. It is not useful when there are no homogeneous subgroups. It can be expensive to implement. Now, this is another sort of phenomena which is known as post-stratification. Stratification is sometimes introduced after the sampling phase in a process. It's called post-stratification. This approach is typically implemented due to lack of prior knowledge of an appropriate stratifying variable, or when the experimenter lacks the necessary information to create a stratifying sample during the sampling phase. Although the method is susceptible to most of the post hoc approaches, it can provide several benefits in the right situation. Oversampling is another phenomena which is being observed in the stratified sampling. It's a choice-based sampling or oversampling if one of the stratified sampling strategies are adopted. In choice-based sampling, the data are stratified on the target and a sample is taken from each stratum so that rarer target classes will be more represented in the sample. The model is then built on this biased sample. The effects of the input variables on the target are often estimated with more precision with a choice-based sample, even when a smaller overall sample size is taken compared to random sample, and it usually must be adjusted to correct for the oversampling. Now, this is another type of sampling technique, probability proportional to size sampling. Another opinion is probability proportional to size, or PPS sampling, in which the selection probability for each element is said to be proportional to the size measured up to a maximum of 1. In a simple PPS design, these selection probabilities can then be used as the basis for Poisson sampling. However, this has the drawback of variable sample size, and different portions of the population may still be over or underrepresented due to chance variation. Now, this is a cluster sampling, which is also known as multi-stage sampling, in which we have the clustered population represented through different stratum or the clusters. Sometimes in which we have sample collection in the two cluster forms. Sometimes it is more cost effective to select respondents in groups or clusters. Sampling is often clustered by geography or by time periods. Nearly all samples are in some sense clustered in time. So, cluster sampling can reduce travel and administrative costs. Example, if an interviewer is going to pay a single trip to versus to visit several households in one block, rather than or versus which he has to drive back different blocks for each household for each time. So this is another type of sampling, quota sampling. In quota sampling, the population is first segmented into mutually exclusive subgroups, as in stratified sampling. Then judgment is used to select the subsets or units from each segment based on a specified proportion. For example, if an interviewer may be told to sample 200 females and 300 males between the age of 45 and 60. Minimax sampling, accidental sampling, in imbalanced data sets where the sampling ratio does not follow the population statistics, one can resample the data set in a conservative manner, which is called as the minimax sampling, sometimes known as the grab, convenience, or opportunity sampling. Accidental type sampling is a type of non-probability sampling which involves the sample being drawn from that part of the population which is close to hand. That is, the population selected because it is readily available and convenient. For example, when we meet a person by chance and he comes to, and we come to know, and he told us that he is suffering from certain disease which we are looking for as a data. So this is the accidental sampling. Snowball sampling, theoretical sampling, or active sampling. These are another types of sampling techniques. Involves finding a small group of initial respondents and using them to recruit more respondents. It is particularly useful in cases where the population is hidden or difficult to enumerate. This is a case of snowball sampling. In the theoretical sampling, the samples are selected on the basis of the results of data collected so far, with the goal of developing a deeper understanding of the area or develop theory. In active sampling, the samples which are used for training a machine, for example, algorithms, are actively selected, and they also compare the active learning with the machine learning. So what are the applications for the sampling? Sampling enables the selection of right data points from within the larger data set to estimate the characteristics of the whole population. For example, there are about 600 million tweets produced every day. It is not necessary to look at all of them to determine the topics that are discussed during the day. Nor it is necessary to look at all the tweets to determine the sentiment on each of the topics. So a particular formulation for sampling Twitter data has been formulated. Now, what are the errors in sample surveys? There could be sampling errors or non-sampling errors. Sampling errors could be selection bias or random sampling errors. Non-sampling errors include undercoverage, overcoverage, processing errors, and measurements error. So methods of producing the random samples, random number tables are available, mathematical algorithms for pseudo-random number generators are available, physical randomization devices which are high-tech devices such as coins or playing cards or sophisticated devices are available. Now it's our time to jump on to the recent updates. This is the oral oncology report which is being published in December 2024. It states how to choose a sampling technique and determine the sample size for research. It's a simplified guide for the researchers. Highlights: this article offers practical guidance for researchers on how to determine sample size calculations for their studies. The paper explores both probability and non-probability sampling techniques, highlighting their respective strengths and weaknesses. The article discusses the key factors that influence sample size determination and reviews the most commonly used sample size techniques. Now, the abstract says that an appropriate sampling technique with the exact determination of sample size involves a very rigorous selection process which is actually vital for any empirical research. It is obvious that these methodological decisions would greatly affect the internal and external validity and the overall generalizability of the study findings. This paper has comprehensively updated the guidelines on sampling methods and sample size calculation, hence giving enough evidence that will be beneficial in assisting researchers to advance the credibility and statistical power of their research work. So probability is the only that can ensure the generalizability, while non-probability sampling is useful in exploratory situations. Another significant process is the determination of an optimal sample size, which among other things has to take into account the total population size, effect size, statistical power, confidence level, and margin of error. Thus, the paper contributes both theoretical guidance and practical tools that researchers need in choosing appropriate strategies for sampling and validating methodologically appropriate sample size calculations. This is another method in which sampling methods in research are being reviewed. This is published in June 2023. The abstract says the accuracy of a study is heavily influenced by the process of sampling. The article provides an overview of the various sampling techniques used in research. These techniques can be broadly categorized into two types: probability sampling techniques and non-probability sampling techniques. Probability sampling techniques include simple random sampling, systematic random sampling, and stratified random sampling. On the other hand, non-probability sampling techniques include quota sampling, self-selection sampling, convenience sampling, snowball, and purposive sampling. Sampling methods in clinical research and educational review. This paper is also being published around in 2024. Abstract says clinical research usually involves patients with a certain disease or condition. The generalizability of clinical research findings is based on multiple factors related to the internal and external validity of the research method. The main methodological issue that influences the generalizability of clinical research findings is the sampling method. Now coming on to our MCQ session, as far as our MCQ number 1 is concerned, it says a researcher wants to study customer satisfaction in a shopping mall. To ensure a diverse representation, they divide the mall into sections, which are food court, clothing stores, and electronics, etc. And then they randomly select the customers from each of the section. Which sampling technique is basically used here? It's simple random sampling.
Cluster sampling.
Uh, okay, no, it's basically stratified sampling. As we can see, we have divided the whole population into food courts, clothing stores, and electronics. So these are being clustered into the samples, and then out of which we are going to use the subclusters or sub sample size. So MCQ number 2 says a university wants to assess students' opinions about campus facilities. They select every 10th student from an alphabetical list of all enrolled students. What type of sampling method is it? Convenience, systematic.
Systematic sampling.
Yes, exactly. Because nth is used here. Okay, it is used here. MCQ number 3. A pharmaceutical company is testing a new drug. They randomly select 5 hospitals and include all patients within those hospitals in the study. Which sampling technique is used here? Stratified, clustered, simple random, snowball. Sorry.
Simple random.
Simple random. Okay. If we have to go a bit deeper down, they randomly select 5 hospitals and include all patients within those hospitals in the study. So basically, it's a cluster sampling again. MCQ number 4. It's a researcher studying social media trends asks their own followers to participate in a survey and then requests participants to share the survey with their friends. Which sampling technique does this describe? Convenience, snowball, quota, judgment, or
Snowball sampling.
you are very right. It's snowball sampling because as the time goes on, their participants are going to increase. So are the respondents. MCQ number 5. A company wants to gauge employee satisfaction. They randomly select 200 employees from a database containing all employees' names and conduct a survey. What type of sampling method is this? Stratified, simple, cluster, quota, or cluster? Sorry.
Simple random sampling. Simple random.
It's simple random sampling.
B.
MCQ number 6. A television network wants to analyze your references. They conduct surveys only among people who visit their website voluntarily to participate. What type of bias does this sampling technique can introduce or introduces? Response, selection, non-response, measurement, or
Selection bias.
it's a selection.
Response bias. B. Selection.
Selection bias is the correct answer. MCQ number 7. A research team is conducting a study on a rare genetic disorder. Since the disorder affects very few people, they identify one patient and then ask them to refer others with the same condition. Which sampling method is most suitable for this scenario? Stratified sampling, snowball, simple, systematic, or theoretical?
Snowball sample.
Snowball, exactly, snowball. MCQ number 8. A government agency wants to survey income levels across different states. They divide the population into income groups low, middle, and high, and then randomly select individuals from each group. What type of sampling is being applied? It's quota, stratified, cluster, purposive, or
Stratified sampling.
it's a stratified. Exactly. Low, middle, and high group strata are well defined and then randomly. So it's a stratified thing. A marketing team interviews people at a shopping center because it is convenient and they are easily accessible. Which sampling technique does this illustrate? Simple random sampling, purposive sampling, convenience sampling, systematic, or quota?
Convenience sampling. Convenience.
Exactly, it's a convenience sampling thing. MCQ number 10. A researcher wants to study political opinions. They decide to select a fixed number of people from each group to ensure proportional representation. Which sampling technique is being used? Quota sampling, stratified, cluster, judgmental, or snowball?
Quota.
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 Exactly. Fixed number of people from each group to ensure the proportional representation. So this is the key for our MCQs given here. This is the link to our YouTube channel. You are kindly being requested to like, share, and subscribe, because all of the scientific content are going to be uploaded here for your reviews and views. And at the end of the session, I would like to thank you all for being with me and listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.